Fellas, some crazy stuff happening in Zambia. A lot of people are getting disease, mental disease. We're talking about neurological disease, bad stuff. And you want to know about this? We're going to go to Brazil. Brazil wants the skull of somebody returned in the country. Whose skull does Brazil want back in Brazil? This is a very scary history that you should know about. We're going to see it next. Have you ever heard of the man-eating lions in Kenya and Uganda? Very dangerous story that you should know about. What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for stopping by. You are very much appreciated. If this is your first time, you're welcome. You want to know news about Africa? You're at the right place. You want to know about Zambia, Uganda, Tanzania? You're at the right place. South Africa, Nigeria, Malawi? You're at the right place. You want to know about African Americans? You're at the right place. Yes. Today, we're going to talk to you about something very interesting. This is your first time. My name is Zack. Thank you very much for being here. This is our community. This is home. You want to surf YouTube for interesting things. When you get out, you feel refreshed and lectured in a positive way. You're at the right place. A human rights organization is accusing the Zambian government of allowing blatant violation of environmental laws by allowing companies to continue to function in a way that is being very polluted. What kind of pollution are we talking about? We're talking about lead poisoning. So a lot of people, men, women, and children are being poisoned by lead. How do you explain that? Lead contamination refers to the presence of lead, a toxic heavy metal, in the environment and levels that pose a health risk to humans. It poses risks to humans, animal, and ecosystem. Lead is very dangerous. It's a dangerous substance because it can accumulate in the body over time and cause severe health problems. What kind of problems? Neurological damages. Lead exposure is the most harmful to children because their brains is still developing. It can lead to reduced IQ, learning disabilities, attention problems, and behavioral issues. In severe cases, lead poisoning can cause developmental delay, speech and language problems, and even permanent brain damage. So this is crazy, fellas, okay? So what's happening is this group of human rights people are accusing the government of Zambia of allowing companies to still function in an area that were closed a long time ago.
They are behaving very, very strangely. For instance, their performance at school is quite poor and low, okay? And then there is a very high irritability. The children are easily irritated.
Now, Zambia has got so much to offer in terms of mineral, zinc, cobalt, lead, and stuff like that. Now, some of these miners come because they don't give a continental about you. They just want to make money. They will mine in a way that is environmental damaging. Now, the dust, the pollution in the water, the air polluted creates a very dangerous situation. We're talking about Kabwe. Kabwe is a town in Zambia, and many children are being affected neurologically. Just imagine a city where kids cannot develop properly anymore. They cannot speak anymore properly. Okay, they have issues with learning. The IQ level is reduced. Some mother was saying, my child, when I send him to go bring me something, he brings me something else.
His condition hasn't changed. He sometimes vomits, has diarrhea, and he's often tired. The clinic doesn't have the right drugs. Last time I got medication for him was in January.
Because of lead pollution, researchers have said that the level of lead in people's blood in that town is horrendous. But the government is still allowing a South African company, Holland, not necessarily run by South Africans as you know them, and other Chinese companies to operate. Let me repeat myself. A South African company, not necessarily run by South Africans as you know them, and a Chinese company are still functioning in this town, even though they closed the doors since 1994.
Kabwe was home to a lead mine since 1904 to 1994. It's been over 25 years since the mine was closed.
But the toxic lead waste has not yet been cleaned up. Informal mining still continues today as people continue to dig up lead and zinc in the toxic waste that is already here in Kabwe.
So they have been back to repurpose the material that they left a long time ago Why? Because they want to make money. And they're polluting that area in a horrendous way. And people are losing their mind. Losing their brains. And adults are losing ability to give birth. And it's bad. Have you ever heard of Chernobyl? Yeah, this is very close to Chernobyl. Kabwe's mines was shut in 1994, yet the government is still facilitating hazardous mining processing in the area by subsidiaries of the multinational mining company Anglo American. And now we are going to Brazil. Okay, fellas. Now in Brazil, something very interesting is happening. Okay, Brazil is claiming back from Harvard a skull of an African warrior that they took a long time ago. They want it back. So Harvard has got a skull of an African warrior. What is the context? You know, in Brazil, many Africans were brought for slavery to work in plants of sugar, cocoa, and cotton. Many Africans came into Brazil hoping that they will return in Africa. However, when they got to Brazil and understanding that they're not going back to Africa, a lot of them revolt, at least the brave ones. I mean, you're not going to take me like me. You're not going to take me into slavery like that. I'm sorry. You're probably going to, like if I was born in that time, you're probably going to shoot me or throw me to the sharks because there's no way I am going. I'm sorry. I know some people went because they were fearful. Some people went because they were told that you're just going for 2 months, you're going to return. That's the only feasible, logical thinking. I think a normal human being, a man with, will accept to go. So Africans, when they arrived to Brazil, some of them revolted. So they created the little camps in forest because they fought very strongly against the colonialists. Now, some of those people organized themselves in prayers. Some use voodoo, some use the African ancestry and history and mystery and religion to go and fight the colonialists. These people were respected because there were no pushover. Okay, unlike the ones that remain in the city, hoping to gain the friendliness of the white man. There are many Africans that resisted horrendously against the white man. However, the skull we're talking about was collected in the 19th century during a time when an anthropological expedition took it and sent it to Canada. So they took the skull of this person. The skull then became part of a Harvard collection through the university. Why do you keep people's skulls? What Africans keep other people's skulls? I'm just asking. Like, do Africans keep other people's bones? What's that about? The Brazilian says enough. We want the skull back. It was a specific skull of an African warrior that resisted the colonialists. I don't know what's the obsession about this warrior skull. What are they trying to find inside that skull? I'm trying to figure out. Now, fellas, this is not the first time, okay? This is not the first time. Do you know that in Germany, there are museums where black people's heads are kept today? Yes, those are heads that they took many, many years ago, hundreds of years ago, when they came to Africa for colonialism, when they fought some Africans that refused to subdue to them. Yeah, they took skulls. Thousands of skulls are in Germany today, as me speaking, in museums. Now, imagine keeping skulls of, you remember the people you don't name in a museum. Would that be acceptable? Okay, that would not be acceptable, right? Why is it acceptable that Germany still has skulls of Africans? I don't understand. What's the obsession with skulls? And it's not just that. And also many years ago in 1898, something very interesting happening. So in fact, at that time in Kenya and Uganda, the colonialists came. They were trying to build the railroad between Mombasa and Uganda. Mombasa is the coast. Look at the map. This is Mombasa at the coast. They wanted to go all the way to Kampala. Why? An easy way to steal. You know, the colonialists, when they came to Africa, their goal was not necessarily to stay, you know, beside the Boers of South Africa who felt that they needed to conquer new land and stay forever. The other colonialists came to Africa to steal and go back where they came from. And again, when you come to somebody's place to steal, what's the best way to steal? You have to create a road where you can steal and go. Okay, steal and go. So the best way to go was through Mombasa by the ship. But where do they steal? They steal inside the continent. That's the reason why they had to build a railroad that's functional so they can steal quickly and leave. Matter of fact, if you look at most African countries that were colonized, all the roads that these countries have, it's usually a road from a mining town to the port, from a timber town to the port. Why? Because we have to steal and leave properly. These are old roads. I'm not talking about brand new road back at the time. So they needed to build the railroad from Mombasa to Kampala. However, the British chose to bring a lot of Indians to build this railroad. I don't know why. Maybe they felt black people were not smart enough to build a railroad. I don't know. I have no idea. Just remind you here that Britain also colonized India. So they had a strong hold on India. They brought in many Indians into Africa, especially Kenya and Uganda. And up until today, many of the Indians still living in this continent. Now, by doing so, they were building the railroad. The problem emerged where it came a time where two brother lions were unaliving these workers. I mean, they removed the Africans, they brought in the Indians and themselves. Two big lions were unaliving people. They say about 50 or more than 50 people were unalived by these lions. And they were trying to figure out. The lions were unaliving people, but they were not eating them. So they were trying to figure out, are they hungry? Is there scarcity of food in the forest? It's not, because clearly they're not eating the people. They're unaliving people only. Then they're trying to figure out what was the problem. They brought in a lion expert from overseas to come and find a way to kill these lions, and he struggled quite a lot. He tried many times, many tricks, many ways to trap them. Eventually, in December 1898, after many attempts, Patterson finally killed both lions. The first lion was shot in December 9th, 1898, and the second lion in December 29th, 1898. Well, let me tell you something. Up until now, they still have the carcass and the bodies of those lions in the museum in America. What's the obsession with people's dead body? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. That's what it is, fellas. Zambia says enough is enough. These companies need to stop. Okay, the government should not allow this anymore. You know, in many African governments, unfortunately, I need to tell you, they will allow anything, provided you give them money. And the money is not going to the bank account of the government. The money is going into private bank account. Now, people are being sacrificed into the situation for personal interest. It's very sad. The Brazilian wants the African warrior skull back from Harvard. What's the obsession with skulls and dead bodies? Germany still keeps heads of many African people unalived many years ago. What's the obsession about people's head? I don't know. They're talking about history, but again, the question is, the country you don't name, you think you're going to keep them head like that saying it's history? I don't think so. The Tsavo lion took many lives. Why do you think they did that? What is your take on this one? Unaliving people but not eating them. Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. God bless.